Hey, and welcome back to my channel, the Art Archaeologist channel. So I'm way off the beaten path today. I took up polymer clay a long time ago and I haven't touched it in quite a number of years. And I came across my box of unused clay, and I have all these scrap little canes that I made. These are like 5-6 years old, all these scraps. But I decided to cut some up and make some Natasha beads, so we're digging up the treasures of Natasha beads today. And I wanted to show you guys these a little closer up. I made 26 of these. It took quite some time and I just baked them all. But I'm going to show you today how I made these. I just want to go over a few of these in detail. So let's get started. Okay, so this group right here, these are all pendants. I backed them with black clay and I just smoothed them out like that once I got this piece all ready to go, and I'll show you in a few minutes. And then I just poked a hole in all of these with a nice long tapestry needle so that I'd have nice large gauge hole for all these pendants, so I can do wire or hemp or cord or whatever I decide to do. But so they all have holes in them, and then these were not twisted very much. You've really got to twist your clay to get a good kaleidoscope mix on it, but I still love how this little group came out. So there's those that look like that, and these colors are I use mostly Sculpey or Primo clay. I do not like Fimo. I think it's too hard. I just don't like Fimo. I don't like the way it bakes. I don't like it. Maybe it's gotten better. It's been a long time since I used it, so it could be better. But I like to use Sculpey and Primo clay. And this is gold, copper, black, white, and there's some green and red in here too. And you know, this was from scraps I made a long time ago, so I'm not sure of the exact colors. Now I'll just put a few up at a time. This is the same color combo as the last ones, and as you can see with these, they're a lot more detailed. It's because I twisted the clay more with these, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'll show you how to do it, but I want you to be able to see both. And then here's some more. I think they're really fun. I've got all these like different little surfboard style shape pendants, and then I've got, I'm looking at the camera and can't get it straight, silly girl. Okay, and then I've got some like this. So I've got quite a variety of shapes, but I really love all the details that came out in here. And I'm very into putting black and white in with your other colors because it gives you that contrast so that you can get that detail. So here's these. Let's take a look at some of these. Now these are black, white, and silver, metallic, shimmery silver. And I put extra white in all of these, so I really wanted a lot of contrast, and we're going to do that again today. But I love the black and white. I just think they're really cool and really graphic. So there's those four. I've got a few more to show you here. Here's some more of that first color combo. And these are, I really like this little set right here. Holy cow. I think they came out really neat. You can see all kinds of stuff in here. Like here's like some kind of wild beast with tusks coming out of it. You can just see so many really neat little things when you start to look at these, and they are so fun to make. Here's one more of that color combination. That's a nice long surfboard shape one there. And then I've got these four are the last of what I have made. and some more black and white. I'm really glad I had enough of the clay to do the black, white, and silver. I just really like this color combo. It's very simple and clean and extremely graphic. This looks like a wolf with its head down and its ears kind of together up here. Oh, the things you can see in these, it's really cool. So let's go ahead and get started on the tutorial now. All right, for the fun part. So all of this white I just chopped up and I did an entire little package of this Sculpey. That's what this is here. And then I've got these 3 really old canes I made, and they look like just, this one's a mix of copper and gold wrapped with black. And this one's a mix of copper and black wrapped with black, like a really deep, rich copper. And then this one is a mix of red and black mixed with black from what I can see. There may be other colors in here. But what you want to do is, I'm hoping this is going to be enough white. I'm going to make sure it is. I may not cut all these up. So we'll see, because you want like a third more white than your other color, okay? So then I've got just a nice little tissue thin razor blade there, a little acrylic brayer, an acrylic block, and this has got stamping, stays on it, but this side's clear, and an X-Acto knife. So what you're gonna wanna do is, we go ahead and take about, I don't know, close to half of all these. Take a look inside at what we've got. I think that'll be a pretty combination. And then I can also add more or less of these as I go too. So here's this black and white one, and all I'm gonna do is, I'll chop it that way, then this way, and maybe this way. You want a bunch of little pieces. So then once you have all those diced up, just line them up and chop that and that. Toss those into the mix. You want a nice mix of color, and it's starting to become a little tiny bit more balanced, but we got a ways to go here. I might be able to use all of these canes. I want to see some more of this gold and copper in here. It looks like I'm going to be able to use it all up. So we'll just go ahead and dice all this clay up, and then I'll show you the next step. This is going to make a lot of beads, by the way. I got 26 beads out of the last pile I did, and I did 2 different colors, as you saw, 2 color combos. And I got a lot of beads, 26, so that's quite a bit. This is looking like a ton of white, but I'm going to just go ahead and roll with it. So what you want to do is squish all of this together. Okay, just want to get it all kind of stuck together. That's going to be maybe too much white, I'm afraid. We're going to roll with it. I do have a little bit more copper here. This has been mixed with other colors, but it's been mixed so much, I might throw a little of this in just to counteract all that white. Yeah, and this will go with it because it's metallic copper. So it'll just be adding some more of the same in. Wanna, like I said, smush this all together. I'm just kind of rolling this around and picking it up. Okay. Then you want to just start rolling it out into a nice snake. And this takes a while. This clay has not been worked for a long time, but it doesn't take that long. So you get the idea. I'm going to get this all rolled out really nice, and I'll be back. Okay, so here's what I ended up with. I've got this nice long snake here, and then I've got these two, and I decided to cut this one. It was long, and I cut it to see the pattern, and it's pretty chunky in there still. So this is going to get worked a little bit more. This really is going to be a lot of beads. So what you want to do is take a chunk of your clay, and after you've rolled it all together and you get it all going, you just want to twist and twist, and then when it starts to tear, that means that I've still got chunks in there. But this is going to continue to get worked. So I'm going to, first I twisted it, and now I'm squishing it all up. I'm going to roll it out. And because I had that breakage, that means that that clay on the inside has not been quite worked enough. So what I'm going to do is really roll this out pretty thin just to work all that clay. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and double this over itself because I want these beads pretty thick, and roll it together again because the width of your snake is going to be half of this, of course. So that's what I'm talking about. So I'm folding it one more time. Now that's all worked pretty well. But see how the pattern is pretty straight? All those colors are pretty straight in there. You want them to look really, really twisted and contrived. Like it's too much even. Okay. And if it starts to break on you, just stop twisting it, and then you want to come in and squish because I want those wider beads. So I'm going to squish, squish, squish. I am really glad I'm doing polymer clay again. This is the funnest stuff. Oh, and I meant to tell you guys, the main reason I don't like Fimo is because it hurts my hands. It's a really stiff clay to work with. That's what I really don't like about it. You know, my hands, the older I get, the harder of a time I have, and I just want to take it as easy as I can, but I still want to make great stuff. So that's the real reason Fimo and I don't get along so well. Okay, so how long is this? Let me grab my ruler. All right, I've got 6.5 inches here. And I'm just going to take my block, and I want this to be pretty much in I want 4 edges. It doesn't necessarily have to be a square. It can be a rectangle. I'm okay with that. But I want 4 clearly defined edges. And the reason for that, when you get these really nice sharp edges, is because when you go to cut your pattern, it will be perfect. You know, the more beveled your edges are, the worse your beads will come out. You really want them to be sharp as you can possibly get them. This is how I like to do it. I just use my acrylic block, and I'll just do one of these guys and then I'll do the rest off camera. But you've got to turn it a number of times. And part of the problem when you're at this phase, I've been really working this clay so it's super warm and really gushy. So it's not completely working with me. But once you get it close, then what I do is I just put this on a tile, and then I'm going to do the rest of them, and then I'm going to put these in the refrigerator for about 15 minutes to really harden up, and then I'll be back. Okay, so here's what I ended up with. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and little different sizes. That's totally okay with me, and the lines are pretty crisp. I am really glad I did all the white clay, and they look so, to me, like an elegant marble. And I really hope that this translates when I cut these open. So I'm going to do this one with you today. I won't show them all, I'll just do them all, and then I will show you all the beads at the end. So I'm just going to make sure and crisp up those lines, really sharpen up those lines as much as I can. So you just want to take your block and do the same as you did before. Now that this clay is cold, it really makes those edges nice and defined. Okay, these are going to be pretty big beads here. So now what you want to do is, I just like to whack off the end. Oh, that's got a nice mix of color on the inside. And I don't care if I go all the way up, even if it's a little beveled down here. I'm okay with that because I'll just use that as part of the shape of the bead. So let's go ahead and do 3 out of this. Gonna go 1, 2, 3. And then you just want to turn them sideways. And I'm going to be a little off because what I'm doing is going straight down, but I need to have my head right over it, so I'll be right back. It's pretty important to get them totally equal, but it's not the end of the world if you don't. I think I can see. Okay, I hope. Oh, that one's off, but it's okay. Now you just want to open it up. Oh wow, look at that burst of red. And here's another thing about this that I was thinking of doing. That's just a very thick bead, and I could almost get another bead out of this. I'm going to slice each one of these halves in half, because I think I want to try to get, this is so thick, I think I want to try to get 2 beads out of here. So I did the middle first, and this is the pattern I got, and it's okay. But what if, okay, so I get that pattern instead there, and then it's not gonna, let me see something. Yeah, those will not line up. But at least this way I get 2 beads. But I don't get the bead with the big red in the middle. I'm just going to go ahead and let myself be okay with that though, because these are so neat. I kind of like having the extra bead here. And then you just want to line them up, of course. And I saw a gal who did a video and she's all, just don't cut all the way through. Well, I can't for some reason. I don't have the ability to do that. I just end up cutting through because I don't want to tear the pattern. That's the risk you run. So now I've got this outside edge beveled over. Let me move this one. I'm just going to gently cut off that beveled edge. Try to get the pattern as equal as I can. Throw that in the scrap pile. Then you want to turn this over. And now that we've got it all lined up, you can gently roll it. It kind of curved on me a little. I hope it's okay. And that really helps to solidify it together. Now the pattern looks like this side needs to be cut just a tiny bit more. That's much better. And now there is, once you push down with your brayer, that's what's gonna make your ends uneven. So I just give them a little whack. And there's one of 2 ways that you can bevel it together like I have the other beads. You can cut some off, which I don't do. I just flip it over and start squeezing together. And the reason I flip it over is because any distortion, I want that to happen on the back side. So as I'm squishing it, that clay has to go somewhere and it's going to go up. So if you're doing that, then your pattern has a much better chance of staying intact. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same to this end. I think I'll just kind of round these edges and make it kind of uniform but not pull it all the way. These are a little bit shorter. So because I did that, the pattern up here stayed pretty well intact. It could use a little bit more manipulation. Take your blade, just make sure it's clean, and then you can run right over. And there's your bead. Okay, so here's this piece of clay. I worked it much more and then I put it in the fridge for a while. Just gonna cut off the blunt ends. Now, as I was waiting for this to cool off, I was working this piece of clay, and it's the same batch. And I worked it so much that it's almost mud now, and there's no contrast in this. So if you overwork it, that's what happens. You're just eventually going to end up with a single color or a few muddy colors. I'm going to go ahead and make 2 out of this. I haven't seen the pattern yet. I'll cut this one in half too. So I think if I want the marbled look, I'm just going to probably have to take, like, see this one? I love this. I almost just have to take a slice of this off of the outside and make a pendant out of this just as is, and then you're not going to have a mirrored image. Really, if any of you know how to do it, I'd love to hear. Okay, so let's see what we got. Yeah, see, the pattern's getting much more worked now because I just worked it too hard and I lost a lot of detail. This one's still really pretty, but you just end up mixing that white in too much and then you don't see much of anything. It's a very detailed pattern and it is pretty, so I'm going to keep it. I'm losing my light today. See, I'm not a huge fan of that. It's not terrible. I think I'll keep it. I'll keep it. Looks like a brown zebra right there, a zebra head. Okay, so here's all these I went ahead and cut. And then these two, of course, remember they got blended, I think, too much. So, but it's amazing the difference you can get with the same exact color combination. So these are the Natasha pendants, and then I've got to show you, I could not resist. I was so drawn to that marble outer core of those canes that I just went ahead and rolled them out and flattened them and then cut the ends and cleaned them all up. But these I like. Oh my gosh, if I'm really being honest, I like these better than the Natashas. I really do. So let me show you. I've got this little cane here, and this is the scraps left over from these. So real quick, I'll show you how to do the marbled one too. Okay, so here we go. I like to just give these messed up ends a whack. I think I'll do 3. 2 marble and then 1 Natasha. So now you want to look at your outer pattern because that's what's going to show, and you want to flatten the sides you like the most. I think this might be the most interesting, but I like this the best. So let's just work with this. You want to be sure. So I'll have this side and this side will be my flatter. You just want to gently roll it out, a little bit at a time. You get that gorgeous marbling. Okay, that's pretty close to the right shape too. Pull it and look at the other side. So that's what this side came out to be. I think I would just back this with black. Back in black. Nope, have to go with this. So then I just clean it up. This is kind of a crease in it, but it's there and it's okay. It's the way it is. I could roll it out a little bit more, but the more I roll, the thinner it gets. And if I rub it, I'm gonna blur it. So I'm just gonna be okay with it. So then you just want to clean up the ends. And then all I did was I put the side I really want to protect face down. And then I just kind of push in those, get rid of those sharp edges. And then I was taking my blade and just run it down so it'll stick. And then I just kind of went like this to get it all evened up. And there it is. Okay, finally the end. So I went ahead and backed all these with black clay just to kind of give it a more finished edge like I talked about earlier. And then I poked holes in everything. I like to do the holes before I bake it. So this one I put 2 holes at the top to put jump rings in and have the necklace come out this way. And then I put 3 holes in the bottom of this one so that I can dangle some charms from it. This is the part where it takes a little bit of forethought to decide how you want your pendants to look. This one is, I did a hole down through the side of it right there with the needle, and I'm just using a thin tapestry needle with a piece of clay on the bottom to protect the tip. So real simple, and I left one just to show you real quick how I do it. So I just use an X-Acto knife, and then I did a little piece of clay. Let me bring you in a little bit. I did this little piece of clay in my pasta machine, and so the one side is smooth, and then when you fold the clay over, of course you get these fold marks. So I like to use this side to put my pendant on, and sometimes I'll just go ahead and do that, but it's really not necessary. Then you just go ahead and take your pendant and lay it on your clay, and then just simply cut out around it. There's lots of ways to do this, and I may discover a better way in the future to handle my clay, but for now this is working for me. And at least it makes the back look finished, but I definitely might find a different way to do it in the future. So then I've got all this nice black scrap clay that I can just save for another project. And then I like to take my blade and just scrape it off because the black is stuck and the pendant is not, and of course you don't want to distort your pendant. Sometimes I have to take it off and reset it a little bit. Can be a little tricky. Usually they're together enough that you don't have to do this step here. And then you just want to make sure you don't have any chunks hanging out over that are too big. If you do, just give them a whack with your X-Acto knife. Now I hold this and just kind of run down with my finger to seal them together. And then I push the corners in. I just really want to create a seal. You can put liquid polymer clay in between these two, and I may start doing that in the future. I just don't have any. I may have to do that, and if you're watching me and you have that liquid polymer clay, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and use that, okay? So now that I've smoothed everything together, I just want to lay this down on the back side up where you can see it and then take my acrylic roller and just gently roll over top of that a few times, very gently, and then that helps to seal it together even more. Plus it smooths your back out. And then just make sure your blade is clean when you're doing these Natasha beads so that you don't have any residue come out on your print. Right there is a piece. Exactly what I mean. Oh goodness, see? I'm glad that happened too. Hopefully no one will ever notice that, but you want to be careful your surface is clean, and then watch out for your pendant too, okay? Now this pendant, I'm going to go ahead and just take my needle, and you want to go far down enough to where I like to set it down. You want to put your needle in far enough down to where it's got plenty of meat around it, plenty of clay around it, so that it doesn't break off. And then I just twist the needle through just like that. And you can even kind of wobble it a little bit to make that hole a little bigger. And I go all the way through with the eye of the needle just to make that hole bigger. And then on the back side, you're going to get a little bit of this right here. You're going to get that clay puckering out. So I just come in with my finger and push it down. And then I run my needle through this way too, and you can just twist it like that to make it bigger if you wish. And then you bake everything. So that's how it's done. And I gotta say, I love these marbled pendants here. I think I love these more than I love the Natasha. I love them both, but I was so excited to come across this, and I thought I might be able to get a mirror image of it, and there probably is a way, but until I figure that out, you can always do it this way. Now these little pieces I had as earrings, and I had them doubled up, so I only had 2 pairs of earrings. Well, I went ahead and cut them in half and ended up with 4 pairs, and then I just poked a hole in the top and the bottom, so now I can put a jump ring in the top of the earring and then do the earring loop, and I can dangle a little charm or bead or little string of beads from the bottom. So the possibilities are endless, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you give this a shot, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.